Alright guys, in this video we're going to talk about data, and people make it complicated, but it's actually very simple. Facebook is an algorithmic platform. It does what it does, but sometimes it does things we don't like and people blame Facebook, but it's not actually Facebook's fault. There is only one bit of data that I look at after my ads are running, and that's called the delivery insights. And I'm going to show you the delivery insights in a second, but first what I want to do is actually talk about how Facebook works and why a lot of people get frustrated. So we're going to have a circle here, guys. Pretend that this circle is our audience. That's a really bad circle. And this audience has 1 million people in it. Okay? 1 million. You would think to yourself, okay, Facebook's going to show my ad to all of these 1 million people. That's not always the case. What Facebook does is it goes out and optimizes over time, and what Facebook might do is go, okay, out of this 1 million people, we have about 200,000 that are, we're going to go optimize for leads, because maybe the other 800,000 isn't suitable for Franklin's ad or Josh's ad or your ad, right? That kind of looks like a dinosaur. Now that's usually not the case. It's usually something bigger, like 600,000 is suitable or something like that. But I'm just using this as an example. So what happens, guys, is once Facebook rips through this 200,000 people, they start showing it to the same people over and over again, and our frequency gets higher. And then what happens is our reach slows down, and people think to themselves, well, why am I getting low reach when I should have 1 million people? But that's not the case. Just because you have an interest with 1 million people in it, it doesn't always mean Facebook's going to go out and show your ad to all of those 1 million people. It should, but it doesn't always do that, because it finds the suitable pocket of people for your particular ad. Okay? So what people get pissed off and say, oh, Facebook's not working, there's a problem with Facebook, my ads are dying, when in fact, Facebook has already advertised it to the people that it needs to, and now it's doing it again and giving you the same reach to the same people, which is not always a bad thing, because according to stats, it takes 7 times for someone to see something on average to do an action. So someone might not opt into your form after the 3rd time of seeing it. They might opt in the 4th time, 5th time. They're not always going to opt in the first time. So just to kind of get that out of the way, just because you have an audience of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 200,000, 400,000, 500,000, doesn't always mean that Facebook's going to show your ad to all of those people. So depending on how many people Facebook find and think that's suitable for your particular ad, it's going to depend on how fast it burns out and how fast it starts to become fatigued. So we need to look at a few stats to find out if our ads are becoming fatigued. And there's one metric that's really, really important. What you want to do is after 7 days, your ad is going to have what we call delivery insights. So you go into your ad set and click on delivery and go to see delivery insights. Now this ad I had going and then I stopped. Now it's going again. What I want you to notice is a few things. I'm going to go to 28 days and watch this. Okay, this was a very small audience. This was a test I did. It was only about 10,000 people. Okay. On the actually it was a little bit more, 10,000. I can't remember. On the first day it came out, guys. Well, actually this is a little bit after. My first impressions was 48%. This means that 48% of people who saw my ad that day had seen it for the first time. Okay. So basically before that, it usually starts around about 90%, then works its way down. Now the next day it was only 22%. The next day it was only 13%. Then it was 12%. And remember, this is a small audience. It's not always going to be like this. Usually it's way more consistent with a bigger audience. Then what happens, guys, is it gets lower and lower and lower. And then we get another higher day. This is when I paused it and brought it back again, and we got more higher days, and then it came down again. That means that on these particular days, guys, only 9% of people who are seeing my ad saw it for the first time. So that means that that means that 90% of people that saw my ad, or 91% of people that saw my ad, on that day have already seen my ad before. So what's happening is now we're getting ad fatigue. Our frequency is getting higher, our first impressions are getting lower, and it means that people are seeing our ad consistently now that have seen it before, and it's just not working for them. It's just not working out. They've seen it, they don't have any interest in it anymore. Now this particular ad I paused, and I started it again about 9 days later, 10 days later. Once again, first impressions are back to 6.4%. 64%, because this is actually a retargeting ad. I just use it as an example because it's giving me the stats really quickly to share with you. And then once again, it goes down and goes down really quickly because it's showing to the same people over and over again. So go to your delivery insights, and one key metric that's going to tell you if your ad is running out of juice is the first time impressions ratio. If this is going down and down and down, then you know that your ad is starting to basically suck. And here's a great example of this. Check out this ad. I'll go back to the 28 days. This is once again another retargeting ad that I'm using for this example. Okay, so this has been really bad. Okay, because this audience isn't very big. It's only a couple of thousand as well. And it's just really bad. I'm only getting 7, 4, 6%, 5% people every day seeing my ad for the first time. So that means that other 95% have seen my ad before, probably multiple times. So first impression ratio, guys, is a key metric, is one of the biggest key metrics you need when running Facebook ads now. Now, on the right, guys, we have what we call the audience reached ratio. What this means is the percentage of your audience you've reached so far. So it's telling me I've reached 88%, and only for the first time, people have only seen it 15%. So that means that 88% of my audience I've reached. Okay? Does that make sense? So I've reached 88 of my audience that day. So basically, I've reached nearly my entire audience that day. Okay, so I hope those make sense. It's really the first time impressions ratio that's really important, and then obviously this one as well. But I really just look at this because this is the most critical point to me. If these numbers are low and they're getting lower, it means my ad is getting fatigue. I need to do a few things: change my interest, maybe change my ad copy, and even though I will get still low impressions, maybe I can get a few more leads out of it. But what this is pretty much telling me is that my interest is burnt out. I'm just showing my stuff to the same people over and over again. Now, if you're still getting leads and sales at a cheap cost or something, then that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're getting frustrated with Facebook and you're having a problem and it's just not working out for you, then I would recommend just changing interest or looking at things like that, okay? Or looking at what you can do to get better first-time impressions. Now, what I do want to talk about is a couple more things, because people seem to get reach and impressions mixed up, okay? Sometimes, let me just find something real quick. Okay, guys, I want to show something quite important as well. You see here how impressions are over 4,000, but reach is under 2,000 at 1,600. It's because of this. So impressions is when your ad appears on the screen. So let's say if someone's scrolling and they scroll down and your ad's there, and they scroll up for some reason and your ad pops up again and they scroll down. That's 3 impressions per that person, but it counts as 1 reach. So reach is someone who saw your ad at least once. So 1,619 people have seen my ad at least once in the last 7 days. But there's 4,000 impressions. That means that quite a lot of these people probably scrolled down, scrolled back up, and the ad popped up again. So impressions is how many times when your ad pops up on a screen. Okay, just so you don't get confused. And once again, what that means is, let's say I saw an ad for Franklin Hatchett, and I scrolled down, and then I was like, oh, what was that? I saw something above Franklin's ad. I'm going to scroll back up. That means that there's 2 impressions now that I've created. Then, if I go back down again and keep scrolling and doing what I'm doing, that means that that is 3 impressions that I've created, and I only saw the ad once. Okay? So, just so you understand that reach and impressions are different. Impressions of the number of times the ad popped up on the screen. Reach means that you saw the ad once. So, basically, this particular audience is around about 2,000. So that's around about accurate. If there's a little bit less, it means that they might not be logged on Facebook. They might have never seen the ad. Okay, because this is a retargeting list. Not everyone's going to log back into Facebook and see my ad. So guys, that's really what I wanted to show you about stats and data. It's quite important to go to the delivery insights after 500 impressions. Where is it? Okay, so after 500 impressions in the last 7 days, you'll be able to view your delivery insights. So if you think that your ad's not performing very well, and there's lots of other stats you can see here, guys, like audience overlap. I don't have any. If you get audience overlap, it means that two of your adverts are overlapping each other and they're in competition with each other. If you get that, you'll be able to see how much percentage, and you can make a judgment call and be like, okay, maybe I should stop this ad and leave this ad running, or vice versa. But audience saturation is the critical stats that you need to look at. And this is by the way, reach accumulated. You don't need to worry too much about that. That's just how many people saw your ad once over the lifetime over its lifetime. So this will just keep going up and up and up as Facebook either finds more people in that interest, or your retargeting audience builds out over time. Okay, that's why these impressions are a lot lower than this, because reach accumulative. Okay, so accumulated reach is always going to be higher than impressions on that particular day, because this is accumulated reach over the span of my ad, and these impressions are just for that particular day. Okay, if there was accumulated impressions, it will be a lot higher than accumulated reach. Okay, so I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'm trying not to make this as very confusing by telling you need to read these stats, those stats, this stat, that stat. You don't. The most critical stat is if your ad's running fine, then you're good. You might be able to go and improve your click-through rate and stuff like that, which we'll talk about. But the thing that stresses a lot of people out with Facebook ads is their ad dying. And another thing I want to point out, actually, sorry, before we move on, is sometimes you will get really bad days. Like, for example, if we go back to this one, is it? Okay, you'll see that, check this out. Yesterday, I got a lead, cost per lead of 72 cents, okay? Pretty good. Today, I think I'm doing pretty bad. Okay, today I'm getting a lead at $3. Why such a massive difference? There's never really any particular reason a lot of the times. It's just how it works. People's behaviors are different. Maybe this day they don't want to click on shit. But what I do is I usually go on an average of 7 days. But let's just have a look here. Why is it different? It might not show up today, actually. Okay, it probably hasn't showed up today. But, well, what's the date today? Let me just check the date, guys, real quick. I can't remember if this is today or not. Okay, yeah, so this isn't today. What's happened, guys, is yesterday was pretty good. I had a first impressions of 15. Today, it's the 13th for me. I'm expecting once this ticks over, I'll have a first impressions that is really, really low, because that's what's happened down here when I restarted my ad, okay? So basically what's happened here, guys, let's go back. What's happened here is my first impressions ratio is getting really, really low, and now my lead cost is going up for this day. Now, who's to say that? So tomorrow might be a better day for me. I suspect it probably won't be, because this is a retargeting campaign. But what I'm trying to say is some days Facebook might have a spasm on us, and it might be like, hey, so we've got this big pocket of people that we've already shown to, okay? All right? And Facebook's showing your ad to these people. It's all good, day 1, day 2, and then let's say day 3, Facebook has a spasm and it just shows it to these people again that have already seen it a bunch of times. If that happens, that's usually normal, and you might get an expensive day, so you might get expensive leads for that day. But then on day 4, it might go back to this particular portion of the audience, and you might get cheaper leads again. That's why it's wise not to sit there and be like, oh my God, today I got $3 leads, shit. And yesterday I got 72. damn man, what's wrong with my ad? There's got to be something wrong. No, there's not something wrong. You should always judge your ads on the last 7 days. I always do mine on the last 7 days because that's what the Audience Delivery Insights runs off in the last 7 days. So you want to check your stats on the last accumulated last 7 days, and it's going to give you your true result. So in the last 7 days, my cost per result is 74 cents. Awesome. But if I do check today, I notice that, okay, my lead price is quite high. Okay, I'm just going to wait it out, and then I will check tomorrow. Okay, and then if tomorrow's a little bit high, maybe I will start to get a little bit worried. But if tomorrow's low again, okay, no worries, we just had a bad day. Okay? And a lot of gurus will say, oh, there's no such thing as bad days and all that kind of crap. Well, there is, but most of the time, most of the gurus and most of the experts, they'll go off lifetime, or they'll go off the last 30 days, and they won't actually see these bad days because they're not picky like me. I check it. I want to see what's going on. And so they'll just let it run. They're so busy with this, they're so busy with that, they're a bit too busy being experts that they will go off like the last 30 days, last week, which is what you should be doing anyway, but they won't notice the bad days. Okay, so even though their adverts optimizing, they won't notice the bad days. So it is good to check on a daily, what I'm trying to say here is it is good to check on a daily occurrence, but do not worry if you get a bad day, because the true cost of your lead is going to be the last accumulated 7 days, because the Delivery Insights, that's what it calculates off. Delivery Insights becomes available when an ad set has at least 500 impressions in the last 7 days, not including today. What it basically tells us is Facebook, 7 days is quite critical to Facebook. I'm not saying Facebook uses 7 days and it resets every 7 days. 7 days is critical for Facebook to start to get information and show you what's working. So I just go off 7 days. Okay, that's what I do when I check. I put it on the last 7 days. Sometimes I go on the last 14 days. Sometimes I go on the last 30 days. But I feel that the reason that's not different, guys, is because I've only had this going for the last 7 days. But I feel that the last 7 days is a good indication to go off. And it's also another reason why it's good is because if you just stick to lifetime, right? And you look at your ad, okay, it's been going good. Yeah, you might have a good lifetime per lead, but the last 8 days or 10 days might have been really bad, but you don't know because you didn't check, and it's just, it might have gone up a few cents, but in reality you might have had a really bad week or a bad couple of days and you don't know. So that's why it's good to do 7 days, not lifetime, and just not all the time, but gradually, every now and then, just check your daily or yesterday and just see if there's any increases like this, because when I check this today, $3 is really high for me, so I'm just going to check again tomorrow. If it's high again, or maybe I'll check the next day. If it's high again, then I need to go look back into my stats and see what's going on. And what it would be, guys, is the first impression ratio. Okay, cool. I hope that was a long video, guys. But yeah, if you just have any questions, let me know. But the whole point of this video is to kind of just show you the best stats to look at, which is this one, and to not get too paranoid when Facebook is throwing weird numbers at you. Sometimes that is normal, but the reason a lot of other people don't pick that up is because they consistently run off a lifetime data when they're checking, when that's not really the right way to do it. You should be doing 7 days at least, because then you'll see if there's any changes in your ads. It'll show you, okay? And then just check it. Once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but just check it every day or so just to make sure, okay? And then go and do a diagnostics, and 99.9% of the time, I guarantee you, it'll be first time impressions. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Let's move on to the next one.